So I learned that the man that I married, in essence, he met his soulmate within our first year. I would say within 6 months of us being married. And as in hindsight, as I'm going back through what I've gone through, these are some of the lessons that I've taken from this. One, I was a woman who was content and at peace with my life when I met this man. Meaning I had gone through things. This wasn't my first rodeo. I had gone through things in my life. I was a single mom. He was a single dad. And I really believe that he was on some genuine stuff because, again, he's a single dad, just like I'm a single mom. We have kids in the midst of our relationship. I didn't, I had not truly experienced or maybe acknowledged the true savage energy of a man. And I believe all men have savage energy. But what this has taught me is when a man only operates on his savage energy, and that's primarily how he operates, it gets very dangerous for those that surround that man. And so a man operating in his savage, he's typically on some like gameplay type of mode, right? Men are hunters. That's how they're made up. And so hunting is akin to gamesmanship, sport, and some men, that's how they treat the dating process, right? Or they treat women. It's more like a sport. It's not a legacy thing. There's not genuine emotions in it. It's like women are these game pieces on a board for them, these pawns that they can pick up, move around, and toss to the side when they feel like it. And I don't think I had truly experienced a man that moves this. In hindsight, that's what I was dealing with. I wasn't dealing with a man who took marriage seriously. He didn't take his own children seriously. He didn't take life seriously. He was moving on malicious energy. But when he met me, he had to dress it up, right? This is a man who made it known that he's an avid churchgoer. He had a leadership position in the church. This is how dangerous it gets when you're dealing with a savage man. They will wear whatever hat they have to wear. They'll put on whatever avatar they have to put on to convince you, woman, especially a woman of value, that he is the one. And then once he locks you down, that mask will start slipping. And that's what I was experiencing. But like I said, I have to hold this L because I didn't, I've never experienced savage on that level. A man on that level that will marry a woman knowing up front, this is temporary. I'm not staying with her. Like, I just did not know men. Most men run from marriage. So to meet a man that runs to marriage on some malicious type of energy is just different, scary different. And so what I've learned, right, in hindsight is when you see what you see, don't try to convince yourself that it's something different. The quicker you come to grips with what you're experiencing with a person, whether it's when you're dating them or even if you get trapped into the marriage, acknowledge what you're seeing and move accordingly, not emotionally, but strategically. And that is what I learned in this process is strategic movements are way better than emotional movements. Because when you're dealing with a man who is on his gamesman, hunter, gameplay, savage energy, when he's dealing in that level of energy, he don't really have no feelings. So your feelings don't move him. They might amuse him, but they don't move him. So you have to move with strategy. Strategy is what shifts the temperature, the atmosphere, the playing field. It's strategy, not emotion. And as women, that's something that we sometimes struggle with is getting our emotions in check when a man is playing with us. When a husband, so-called husband, is playing with our emotions, with our heart. It's hard to shift to strategy when you're dealing with hurt, but you must do it. It must happen. And that's something that I had to figure out as I'm walking through understanding not just the betrayal, but the malicious betrayal. And malicious betrayal is uncovering his intentions, right? A man who steps out of his marriage within the first year, I had to just acknowledge that was intentional. His intention was never to do good by me, but to hurt me. And I believe it started when we were dating. I didn't see the signs. He saw what type of woman I was, how I carried myself. He saw I wasn't desperate. And that made him lock in on me. Because I wasn't a desperate woman, he locked in on me. He said, she's content. She's at peace. I need that. I need that peace and that contentment she got. I need that. And not need that for himself, but he needed to see it up in smoke. He wanted to make sure that my peace and my contentment was no longer there. But what he didn't understand was the work that I did to get to my peace and my contentment would have residual impact. He didn't understand that while he was being malicious towards me, he wasn't counting the blowback of those malicious actions. And that's unfortunate, right? But it is what it is, right? There's always sowing and there's always reaping in our lives. And like I said, I just hope that as I share some insight on things that I've gone through in betrayal in a marriage, that it'll help women, right? Because we got to get out of our emotions and we got to start moving strategically when it comes to these men. Men don't fight like a woman fight. They don't. They fight totally different. And again, this was eye-opening for me in so many ways. Of a man that don't know you will come after you, pursue you, only to have bad intentions from the start. That was a little jarring. Not a little, a lot. It was very jarring and upsetting for me to understand that a man would pursue me with his only intention was to trick me out of my spot, trick me out of my peace, trick me out of my contentment, to lock me into a marriage so he could use me and then throw me away. But the enemy never calculates the blowback on that. They never calculate what comes after they set a trap for someone. They never plan for the hole they're going to fall into when they maliciously go after someone. And for me, it's all about healing and peace and moving forward in life. And that's the journey that I have been on. It's just healing, peace, and moving forward. And my situation is, I would say, kind of unique because I had to deal with my emotions, but I couldn't move based on my emotions. And this is just some of the stuff I had to go through in realizing that not only have I been betrayed, but it was done with malicious intent. And I had to walk through all of this with the understanding that how I move would determine my outcome. And this is just some things I've learned on my journey of being a healed wife.